Yes.
Yes. Is it really worth it to keep the Luo culture?
Allow me to follow the discussion for some. I'm just
Okay.
centered and
Okay.
Benja was on.
Okay.
Though I have a few concerns from Benja's perspective, but allow me to listen in maybe to one or two more.
Okay. Cool. Jackie, I know you side with the retention, preservation of the culture, but I also asked you if we should preserve polygamy as well. And because of the modern life, our modern life in a way go against our culture or somehow make it not necessary per se. So Jackie, should we? Is it really worth it to preserve the Luo culture, or should we get with the flow?
I totally agree that we need to preserve that our culture, because that is what gives us identity. That is what makes us unique. That is why people say that Luo is a software because of that culture. So if we discard it now, then who do we become?
So do we?
Culture gives us an identity.
True.
If we talk, for example, yes, we need to preserve everything, whether it's polygamy, whether it's what. Let us preserve so that people can know who we are. Our generation can know who we are. But in terms of practice, we practice those which propagate development, which propagate the human dignity. But in terms of preserving, we preserve everything. We can't preserve selectively. We can't say polygamy is good, and then on the other side, we say, for example, that we don't tero. Yet we don't even understand what tero is. People have a very wrong perception of what is tero is. So we need to preserve everything so that we get to understand. Just like you were asking earlier on about Ajoga. Many people believe Ajoga is a wrong person, it's a bad person. The intention is to kill, the intention is to maim. Actually, when I thought of that, and I would not even go home if my dad is not there or my big brother, because I don't want this judge pity, the night runners. We classify them as one. But when we preserve that culture and people get to know that we have these different categories, this person is called a yoga and this is what they do. This one is called this is what they do. Then we get a clear understanding. Then we propagate what the culture that propagates development, the good ones. But the bad ones, we shelve them, but we don't talk ill about them because they gave us an identity then with our ancestors. There was a reason they were there in the society. Thank you.
Yes, and that really begs the question: are they actually, those that we consider evil, are they actually evil, or we just brainwashed? Because again, if you want to judge one society using the standards of another, if you judge Luo spirituality using Christianity as your reference point, then it's like, of course, judging the ability of fish to climb a tree. So you'll always find fault. But Benja, you seem to have something.
Okay, see, KP, you see, there is good in every evil, or there is evil in every good. All right, so I think Ajwaki are there to heal people, because they've got the gift. They see things. They dream medicines. They they dream of scenarios, so they save lives. Yeah, but of course, I think just like even the modern pastor, trust me, they can do evil. Because they've got the powers, and those powers can be twisted somehow to harm people. Yeah, but in its natural form, Ajwaka is there it's like a healer. Basically, you go to Ajwaka, they will tell you, before you even tell them what your problem is, they already know. They will be the ones telling you that, look, I know that you've got a problem in your household at the moment. You are quarreling a lot with your wife, or your firstborn is not doing this and that. But this is how I want you to approach it. This is what I want you to do. Go and put this, because of course they are counteracting the evil spirits. So they will give you something that will push away the evil spirits. Yes, evil spirits are there. You know, in a day-to-day life, anybody can tell you. Even the white man will tell you that evil spirits are there. Even the Bible says so. But you know, the most interesting thing is that, you know, when people start turning to the modern day pastors or the modern day apostles or whatever they're called, yeah. Now, if we cast our minds like years, you know, thousands of years back, we existed then before Christianity, especially like before Christianity reached Africa. What did we believe in? You know,
correct.
Who were our, you know, gods? Who did we refer to? Even if it was like going to, you know, going under a big tree somewhere, we believed in something.
Correct.
We prayed to something. You know, it was our way of doing it. But then, of course, you know, Christianity came in and sort of distorted a few things, and said, "Oh no, you know, don't believe in him." Yeah. Even though he was there, he saved your granddad, he saved your grandma, you know. But now all of a sudden, because, you know, somebody comes from, you know, a different part of the world, says, don't believe in them. We, you know, we all of a sudden, we just abandon whatever culture. But it shouldn't be that way. Yeah,
correct.
It shouldn't be that, because in Christianity, there's evil as well. Yeah.
But there are some cultures that are obsolete.
I have
cultures that are obsolete.
Yeah, I think Jackie wants to jump into that. Then we will go to Mama too.
I have a question,
Okay.
I'm just listening to Benji, and what Benji is bringing out is very good. And I just want us to think, we talk of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, the charisms of the Holy Spirit, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. When it comes to culture, when we say this is a healer, this is a medicine man, we also have the same in culture.
Correct.
Only that we don't want to see that, because everybody is gifted, and we had a name of that gift in the society. If you are a healer, for example, we'd call you a yoga. And in the Christian world, we also say that those who are gifted in intercession, in healing. So I don't see why we find fault in culture and giving it a cultural name, yet when we embrace it in Christianity. So I think our mindset, we really need to relook our mindset. And we embrace all, because in culture, you're a healer, you're a yoga. In medicine, you're either a doctor or a nurse. In Christianity, you have a gift of the Holy Spirit. So I don't see why we find fault in culture, yet we embrace this other side.
Okay. Jackie, that's very good. But before someone says something, I think I would like to clarify. And if you're watching me from YouTube, feel free to write me a text if you have a question, and I will ask it to the guest on TikTok. I think it's very important for Africans as a whole to understand that the same way you look at your what you call traditional way of worship as cultural is the same way Christianity is a culture. The only difference that one culture somehow got accepted in an empire that had more money and more financial power and military power, and that's the ability to spread it to the world or to force it on people by, you know, you accept, we give you the goodies, you refuse, we keep the goodies to ourselves. Yeah. So accepting Christianity is not a case of an elevation, moving from a primitive belief to a higher belief. It's just a case of leaving your belief and adopting a wealthy foreigner's belief. So both of them are cultural. Both of them are cultural. They are those whose Christianity was their culture. And Christianity, of course, got more power after being accepted in the Roman Empire, which now changed to be Catholic. They just switched the name. They never, you know, completely vanished. So it's important to understand that you, by being a Christian or being a Muslim, you are just accepting someone else's culture. You're not necessarily moving close to God. There is God in everyone. And one actually traditional believer explained to me by drawing 3 lines all going up to the same apex. And he explained this way is for the white people, for the British, this way is for the Arabs, and this way is for the black people or the Luo. So why do you want to use someone else's culture to get to the same goal that you've had all along? And most things are just considered evil, like a yoga, because of supremacy wrangle. How do we make them to hate their own culture and believe in ours? By demonizing that culture, by saying, okay, you know, this Ajoga, he kills people. But how many people have actually gone to Ajoga and confirmed that they kill people? I, as someone who has gone to Ajoga 3 times, I can confirm that we didn't kill anyone. And I ask questions, do you kill people? If you watch Allure Voices of West Nile, episode 2, you will realize that Ajoga is not evil by any nature. So the question is not about living culture for a better one. It's a case of abandoning yours because your neighbor's grass is greener. So I think that's important to put across. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, KP, just to sort of add on to what you just said, but from a totally different perspective. When I just want to take like just let's look at our healthcare, yeah, and then let's look at our childbirth, right? Like child delivery, yeah. And I'm going to sort of specifically talk, referring to you know the case of Uganda, where the rate of mortality is almost 3 in every 3 births we lose a child, yeah. But I think if you go to the traditional midwives, for instance, yeah, if a child is delivered deep in the village somewhere, their chances are you'll find that the mortality rate is totally different compared to going to a hospital and delivering there. So what does that mean? Yeah, okay, we've accepted that, yes, we should go to hospitals, yes, we should do this and that, but our traditional delivery ladies or the midwives are actually more, because you see it's not something that you just inherit, or you just wake up one day and say, all right, I'm going to be a midwife. No, you go through a lot of experience and training, so by the time somebody, whoever hands it over to you, you know that it's, that child belongs to you. It's in your hand. The life of that child is in your hand. But now, you look at, almost, even with cesarean, we're still losing children. We're still losing babies, even though doctors still can say, oh, no, the child is breached. Oh, the child, the baby is distressed. You've got to, and in some cases, both the child and the mother, dies. So, but in traditional sense, we were actually able to maintain that sort of mortality rate, that look, for every child that you deliver, you make sure that that child survives. If the child dies, it's, they will try and find out, mitigate what's happened, why did it happen, so yeah. So I'm just, saying that from a traditional point of view, yeah. And that in a way is one reason why we should not discard all of a sudden. We just say, all right, let's just do away with our culture, and I would have preferred, of course, when the Westerners conquered Africa, everything started shifting. They, of course, influenced the leaders, and then the leaders said, all right, this is the way we want things to work. I wish they had sort of just worked with things both traditionally and the modern way of doing things, the Western way of doing things, the European way of doing things. They should have encouraged both the traditional way and also the Western way of doing things. It would have probably been, much better.
Yeah, so I will go to Sholo, but Benja, I think the reason why what we call the cultural traditional way of doing things were discarded is because it was a supremacy war. I only get you to join my project by abandoning yours, and to convince you to abandon yours, I have to make you feel less of yours. And this goes to our languages as well. I believe in most schools, everyone here, mostly you were punished for speaking your own language in school. So it was a case of supremacy war where if you can speak the foreign man's language, then you're better. If you can pray to their gods, you're better. If you can dress like them, then you're better. If you can behave like them and have their mindset, then you're better. But Cholo, or Kolo, sorry, I say Cholo because I'm used to saying Shiluk, the Luo of South Sudan. Kolo.
Okay. Thank you.
But because you're here, could you first introduce yourself in your Luo dialect? Name?
Urute.
Where?
Yes. Nilungani Collins. Emakelo Kolo. Kenya Joluo ero Gineko Kolo Collins Kaga Kolo. Yes. We are having a good discussion here, and I think it's good to talk about this whole thing because it's been a problem for so many cultures, not even the Luo culture. I think the biggest threat that we have is our education systems in our various countries. A lot has been said, a lot has been done, but if we don't change the way, or rather we change our education system to accommodate our cultures or our traditional culture, then still we are going to miss the point, because we can't also run away from the fact that we are now in a world where people go to school.
Correct.
It's like something that has to happen whether we like it or not. But then there is something that we need to have in our education systems that will enable us maintain our cultures and not to see them as something that is inferior to anybody's culture. Christianity, like KP said before, I think somebody forced to us their culture, because Christianity is also someone else's culture. And we embraced it like it was our own, yet it wasn't.
Mama too, can you mute?
Our cultures are very superior. Our cultures are very superior, but if we really don't take care of them, they are going to disappear very soon. Because there are kids who are born in our cities that are totally oblivious to whatever is happening or whatever our cultures mean. So I think, like when it comes to a subject like history, it should have every detail of whatever our cultures are all about, because we discuss very little of our cultures. And something like Joe again, whatever KP was saying, you'd find that some of them are not even mentioned, or if they are mentioned, you will see like medicine man, and that's all. Maybe a page is dedicated for it, maybe for just a few things that are discussed under it. So there is no clear picture about the whole issue. So you will go with what you hear from people, and you will never know the reality if you really didn't have maybe some older guy, or rather, somebody in our community who is old enough to tell us what exactly these people were doing. So if we don't have that captured in our education systems, we are going to lose the bigger picture. And then there was somebody who also talked about the matter of wife inheritance. I think you really answered it so well, because I think it was something that was left for the rich, those who are well-to-do, because having many wives in according to Luo culture was a sign of wealth in itself. So people have been like misinterpreting the whole thing because it wasn't for everybody. And again, when your brother died, Luos cared about their family from time immemorial. So wives were being inherited to offer security to the widow and the kids so that they could have somebody who they can rely on. So those are some of the things that really made people, or rather our culture, entertain the issue of wife inheritance. It was just to offer security for the bereaved family and to ensure that the family also continues, because some women lost their husbands even to wars and before they could even bear kids. But that family name was supposed to continue. So how was it supposed to continue? By having a brother ensure that it continues so that the name lives on. So some of these things people do not just understand them. That is why you would find people talking negatively about them. So I think we should really do a lot of research, and your documentation, even when you're doing your documentary, are going to change the game. I think now people will start seeing things as they are instead of listening to what was documented earlier by the white man. Because we will always be there to blame the white man, actually. Yes, they did us dirty, but we will always blame them. But here we are now at a point where we have known them, we have learned their ways, we can speak their language, we know their intentions. We can do a lot of things and change the narrative because we are able to. If we don't do that, we are going to be complaining about everything every day, and we don't take it up upon ourselves to make the changes that we deserve to have in our communities. Yes.
Thank you so much. If you're watching from YouTube, remember you can just send me the questions on live chat and I will ask them to the guest on TikTok. But if you're new here, my name is KPJ Luo Broad, Luo Ambassador, Eastern Central Africa. I make documentaries for the Luo of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, DRC, South Sudan. So please, just do me one favor. Remember to go to KPJ Luo Broad YouTube channel and subscribe and at least watch one documentary and share one. The documentary that I recommend the most, there are two. One is the Padola Kingdom, because it shows when I went to the Luo shrine and offered a sacrifice there. And also watch Allure Voices of West Nile and see the scene in which I went to the shrine of Ajoga and he did Gagi, and he showed some powers that maybe your pastors might not. But the most important thing is not to compare, it's to show you that Ajoga is not evil like previously narrated to you from the churches. But how do we move towards a point where we can preserve these cultures without a negative connotation? I say this because up to this point, most people that go against Luo spirituality as an aspect of culture, they say Ajoga is bad, they kill people, they're liars. But then I ask them, have you ever been to Ajoga? Then they say no. So where do you get this information that Ajoga is bad? And if we know the source of information that demonizes our own cultures, how do we twist it? How do we move? Because my grandmother today, unfortunately, she's too old to have this conversation. I try to avoid it with her. But she believes that somehow when she dies, she goes to Israel. Because to her, Jerusalem and all these things are in heaven. This shows you how much brain drain can make you believe on things that are not true. So from here, how do we proceed into, how do we call it? Undemonizing our culture, making our culture sound just as good as any other culture without putting so much blame on what the white man did, because we can complain the whole day. But how do we go about it? Mama too. I think I'll give you the chance. Or Kilama.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Introduction in your Luo dialect. Name, which Luo you are, and where you are now. And then you can proceed in English.
Okay. I'm Alice Awino Awiti, Luo from Siaya County.
Though I wanted it in your Luo dialect,
Yeah,
not
but
English.
say it in Luo. You need to say it in Luo.
In Luo.
Linda Idongoni Alice Awino Awiti.
There.
Anyar Game.
Siaya County.
Nyaluma, Kenya.
Yes.
Bear. Now you can proceed in English.
I think our culture is what makes us unique as the Luos. First, let me refer to our late Baba. Most of the times he used to attend funerals in Kenya, and he could just mourn by saying, Joey, Joey, Joey. The Joey term, since he left us, all the tribes in Kenya, all the other tribes in Kenya, plus the Bantus who normally look down upon the Luos here, they're embracing the Baba word, Joey, Joey, Joey. At times we tend to ask them, do you know the meaning of the word Joey that you sing about or you yell about all over, Joey, Joey, Joey? Then there was a day that I had a very lengthy conversation with some Kiku friends of mine about the Joey. I told them that is a spirit, that is our special spirit as Luos. When we attend a funeral or maybe when we in a gathering where we want to address the dignitaries and we really want to address respected people, there are some terms that were allowed, are still there, and when you use them in a congregation where respected Luos are, at least they afford you some respect, and they really feel that being that maybe you enlightened as somebody who went to school, but you still embrace your culture as a Luo. And I think being that we have a unique culture as Luos, that is why we're becoming a threat to other tribes, because a Luo will always remain a Luo, but what I'm afraid of is most of us as Luos, we are not embracing being Luos. Because like me, I was born and raised here in Nairobi. We used just to go in the village. We used to go in the village during December holidays, but my dad was very harsh. My dad, may his soul rest in peace, but he was a good dad to us. Because most of the times we could visit our grandmother or our granddad, and Luo was the main thing. You try speaking in Swahili or in English, you're thrown away out of the house with kicks and beatings. I, as a mother, I'm a mother, and my youngest daughter is 9 years.
Oh, okay.
If you happen to visit my page in TikTok, my 9-year-old baby sings in the Luo. We can't afford to shade away our culture. Most of the Luos here in Nairobi, I'm so sorry to say, you hear, yeah, she's a Luo, and we are Luos, and she can't even afford to say Amosi. You see, then you tend to ask yourself, where are we headed to? Do we mean to say that when people are looking down upon us because of our culture, you don't think or you don't see any valid reason of telling your kid that you are a Luo at the end of the day? However bad these other tribes may reason about us or may yell about us that we are not, we're still backwards, we still do things the cultural way, on the natural way. I think it's always good for us to embrace our culture. And most of the times, I'm so sorry to say this, when I'm in their middle, at times I just erupt and speak in the Luo, then they're like, oh, you're speaking in tongues. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm still consulting our ancestors, because I really need to consult them in a friendly language that they can really understand and give me the answer to give you people. Then everybody basks and like, oh, okay. Well, most of the times when I'm in town, they call me Nyako Jaluo. Then I'm like, oh, I'm proud to be one, and I'll still remain one till I die. I'll die as a Luo.
Good.
There's also a negative narrative about somebody called a Juoga. A Juoga in the current world is a doctor. I'm not old the way I think, but I'm also old because I'm more than 30 years old. At once, when we used to go to the village, when we are sick, our grandmammy could just take us to the nearest bush and just pick some small leaf. You see, maybe you were complaining about stomachache the whole day. Then she tells you, oh, Nyakwara, biwadie tokotka, biwadie dirabila. She used to call it abila. Wadie dirabila ka. Then she tells you that next time when you going through this or or maybe when you're ailing and you're feeling such symptoms, just rush and pick this. You can either chew it raw, or you go smash it and you just take the juice and you're totally healed.
Yeah.
The white man's way of brainwashing people, or I'm so sorry to say this, most Luos nowadays, they feel they are civilized, they don't see any reason of following or respecting our culture, which is very wrong. Let a spade be called a spade. You can't run away from your tribe. However much you say, most of them say that, you must just intermarry so that the Luo thing, we wash or we get away with it. I don't support that. Even if you're married to a white man, even if you're married to who, first, embrace your culture and stand tall and announce to the world that I'm a Luo from Kenya and I'm proud to be Luo. The way I'm dark, I'm a Luo and I still remain a Luo.
Yeah.
When they go to the should I call them the white collar countries or where people speak good English? You see, you can just meet somebody. I'm so sorry to say, Luos are very easy to identify by their facial features. Just the facial
features.
You are able to identify this is either a Luo from Kenya, or a Luo from Uganda, or a Luo from Sudan. There was a day I was not within, then I just said, "Oh yeah, ore." People were like, "Hey, what is she saying?" What? I was like, "I'm speaking in Luo and I'm checking on you. I'm just finding out how you guys are." Then the other one said, "You're not telling us. We are not in the right place to speak that." Then I said, "Foolish you. That is why you are not able to carry your flag high and announce to the world that I'm a Luo, I'm a dark Luo, I'm not a monkey, but I'm a Luo from Kenya." So I think the brainwash, and the people who are on this platform, I'm so sorry to say this. Any Luo who is here and you have a kid, learn to teach your kid how to speak the Luo. Even if he or she goes to the United States, she can as well meet an interested person who really wants to speak the Luo. And when you're interacting with your brother from maybe Uganda and you really feel that, you find that some of the words are just the same, you feel so good. There was a day I was in Uganda. I met a very dark, tall lady. Then, "Are you Luo from Kenya?" "Yeah." Now our words were not really matching, but at least I could hear what she was trying to tell me. And I felt so good. And I was like, okay, however much people tarnish or people really splash mud on our faces as Luos, we were born bright people, and I think Luos are bright. That is why we are threat to all tribes. I'm so sorry to say, because what a Luo can reason, or how a Luo can reason out within a single minute, a Bantu can take like 3 hours before getting the right answer. I'm so sorry. I'm a Luo, I'm still a Luo, and I'm proud to be a Luo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. If you're joining for the first time, remember my name is KP Luo Abroad, Luo Ambassador, Eastern Central Africa. I make documentaries for the Luo, so I need your help. If you can go to KP Luo Abroad YouTube channel, please subscribe and watch one documentary and share the others. I have some comments here from YouTube. Majestic Picture says, yes, Luo culture is worth preserving. Songalado says, my uncle has the same problem with Christian religion. Demonize our tribal religions, but I have learned from your channel. Okay, thank you so much, Songalado. I'm Luo from Canada as well. Okay, Majestic Pictures. I also have how is it called, this thing? Now I forgot. I will tell you later. There's this thing that we use for Benja, you know it? The thing we use for equivalent of Arambe in Kenya.
Solro.
No, yeah, Solro, but there's what's the name? GoFundMe, sorry. Yes, I have a GoFundMe link. If you can help me share. Yeah, I forgot the word GoFundMe. For the people in Kenya, I think GoFundMe is not famous here because we use M-Pesa a lot. But for people who are in the US or Canada, or I have a GoFundMe link. If you can share, that will be very helpful to help me get resources to do more documentaries. But yes, I agree with you so much, Mama Joey. I think someone called you Mama Joey. Benja, you can proceed.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of add on to what Mama Tu said, and also bring in sort of like a mini topic here.
Yes,
because
and after you, Operi will talk.
Is LUO culture worth? Is your question is LUO culture worth it? Yes, it is worth it. But the biggest question is, how do we preserve it? How do we preserve our culture? And Mama Tu hinted a little bit there. We need, as LUO individuals, we need to do our bit. We need to, one, of course, teach our children, encourage the culture from within our household, right? That will go only so far. But I think the most important thing that as a Luo community, as Luo community, as what we can do is perhaps look towards building like regional cultural centers where people can come and visit, and there will be all sorts of culture. Okay, like for instance, like in Western Kenya, we can have one in Kisumu, one in Siaya, and those cultural centers would not necessarily just be based on the Kenyan Luos. It would comprise of all the Luos, whether it be in the Ugandan Luos or whatever, and of course it would be like a pointer for whoever visited there to go and visit the Ugandan, center as well, where they would be probably given a lot more information. Because, like I said the other day, culture is the one thing that we can sell and sort of name the price. Because it's our culture. If somebody has an interest in Luo culture, or the way we dance, or the way we conduct our ceremony, they will have to come to us, isn't it?
Correct.
And it's up to us to say, look, this is how much it's going to cost you for us to demonstrate to you how we conduct this ceremony. So culture is very important. And I think, constructing a regional cultural center will go a long way in preserving our culture.
Thank you so much, Benja. And I think it's really disappointing, in all honesty, Opere, before I come to you, because, for example, Pakwach in northern Uganda, West Nile, where Labongo and Yipir separated, if anyone doesn't know, this is where we ended up with the Luo separated into Acholi and Alur. I've heard for years that they want to build a museum in Pakwach. There's no museum. Such a culturally important center like Wangle, there's nothing, just a structure. It would be good to have a museum there. In Senda, if you are a Padola, you know where Senda is, where the Majanga home is. I was told there will be a museum. There's nothing. Among the Luo of Kenya, can anyone confirm if there's any museum for the Luo culture? I don't think there's any. While if you go to Egypt, you see that they cash out by just creating museums showing their culture. Any travel in the world knows the significance of having museums. So for sure, Benja, you're right that we're sleeping on what we can cash out or not. Opere Otieno.
Okay.
Yes, the floor is yours now.
Nilungane Paul Otieno Onyango. Ja Kisumu Kadawa.
Bear.
Now, maybe I'm the unique one. Maybe the unique one among you, in the sense that I wear two caps.
Okay.
And you probably, from my name, somebody can be suspicious to start imagining who am I anyway. So,
I'm a Catholic priest, so that's the first thing. So
Oh,
I wear
okay.
many cap and I listen to the stories inside here.
Okay.
A few things to say. One, to respond to your question, is LUO culture worth it? Okay, maybe the philosophy that I've done also will play with me. I don't know.
Okay.
But when you ask me a question, is LUO culture worth it? Worth what? So that worthiness we need to define and clarify. But if it is worth like to live, to share, if that's what you are referring to, then I will answer yes. Because I find the question a little bit.
Is it worth it?
But if the worthiness, if the worthiness is all about its value, its importance that can be made to be shared, to be carried forward, to be lived, and all that, then yes, LUO culture is worth it. It's worth being lived. Is worth being shared. Is worth being preserved. Is worth being celebrated. Is worth being taught. Is worth all the things that you can talk about, if that's the kind of worthiness you are referring to. So that one I've answered. Number two, I've listened. I've taken my time to listen to all people. And I can divide the divisions into three, then that will be my point of presentation. One thing is like culture is like this other word we have in modern society called democracy.
Okay.
I compare the two in this understanding in terms of understanding and applicability. Everybody talks of democracy. We want to be a democratic country. But then, what exactly do you mean by democracy? That is the problem. We seem to know it, but at the same time, we don't know it. Now, the same thing applies with the culture. Yes, we seem to be knowing this thing called culture, and we talk of we have to preserve our culture, we must maintain our culture is the best. But exactly what do you refer to as a culture? What exactly do you mean? Now, that's what I'm trying to bring about is the understanding of the concept culture. It will depend, because you will agree with me, not you must agree with me, sorry, but you will agree with me from an informative perspective. There's what we call orientations of thoughts.
Okay.
There are those who come from a thought that a culture is something which is there and you can go and see it. And it refers to those old things. But these old things, the same person going to see them is not even living at half of them.
Okay.
So it's like culture is there. It is something existing and extras and outside me that can be seen. Now, it is static. It is there. It is waiting. And if you go to embrace, you can embrace it, you can learn it, you can share it. The other school of thought could be, which I belong to, that culture is something very dynamic and alive. And it is the identity of the person, but then this identity responds to circumstances and the time of the one living them. Now, there is something that I think Mama Tu said here when he was talking about, I am a LUO. Now, that, when you say, I am a LUO, it refers to one, my identity, and number two, my differentiation with others. Now, that is culture, that is a tribe, that is a given people. So if you want to bring to the modernity, you can talk of LUO nation. A people who speak a particular language and goes a certain worldview. But then when you want to talk of now elements within the LUO culture, because she referred to one, my children are taught, that is one way, that is just one way of preserving culture. It is not the only one. It is one of the ways. So when I think it was Benja who talked about we need to preserve culture. Exactly how? One, do we preserve? Because for me, I believe culture can only be preserved and passed on by living it.
Correct.
If you write about it, then it remains in the nice books of history. If you take it to the museum, then you will say the Luo culture belongs to the museum. And what is a museum? A place where you go to see things that happened when you are not there.
Okay.
Or something telling you of something that has passed, just to help you understand what happened. It is a museum, a place of history. That's my understanding of it. Now, but cultures seemed, and the best way to preserve and share cultures when you live them. Now, this is where now the rubber meets the road for many of the so-called culturalists or those who believed in cultural purity and things like that. So the Puritans of culture, or the cultural Puritans, have got that when the rubber meets the road, when it comes to the day-to-day life, because culture is alive, and when it is alive, it responds to circumstance. So the way my grandfather lived, my late grandfather who died, I think it was 90-something thereabout, you know, the way he lived that time, the way I'm now living now, we are still the same Luos of Kisumu. But there are several nuances within this culture that has changed a lot. But also there are things that are static, there are things that remains the same. Now, these are the problems that cultural Puritans have when you come to a giving of culture. But I do believe that there are good things in the culture. Two things you mentioned, and I want to share on them, and I finish there. One, there was this mentioning of the word ajuoga, and I want to bring an argument in form of a question.
Okay.
And I want to bring a question to those who come from Alego and the CIA. Okay. That is CIA, Ugenya, CIA, Lego, that route, those side. Sometimes back, and I think Mama Tume agree with me or anybody coming from CIA. Why was there fear among what you can call the educated, the well-off, Ugenya, Lego people of going back home? And if they were going home, they go home in a manner in which not the way they came from Nairobi. Because within the Luo culture, there was the understanding that now, that is the negativity of Ajuoga. So we can also not run away from that fact. We let us not only bring the positive, there are also the negative, what you can call negative. They would use that spirituality that they have in them, that spirit that is imbued in them, to cause things. Some of us or some people were fearing going home. No, don't go there. So there is that negative connotation of Ajuoga, which we must just accept because it's in the culture. And that's why some of the people fear even going back to their homes. And if they go back to their homes, they leave the cars in the town or in this market center, they wear slippers and wear shorts to reach their home. They come back in their suit and their Mercedes because they fear. Why they fear? Because there's somebody, a certain man, a certain woman with some spirit called Ajuoga, who may not be happy with the development of my home, and therefore I am not, and you are told, as in, don't give them that thing in his hands. He may use that to, so that, how do you call that? Is that Ajuoga? Is that Janek? What is it in understanding of Ajuoga in Luo culture? So that is the final point is on polygamy and hetero and all these things. And I want to confirm, I don't give a damn to whether somebody is polygamous, monogamous, or whatever. Because today, those who propagate and pontificate about how good polygamy is, many of them are monogamous. So, polygamy, is it good, is it bad? I don't know. It depends on the one who has been involved in it. But let us, you'll agree with me that those who are polygamous in Luo culture were very rich people. Correct. Polygamy was meant for the poor. And richness in the context of Luo then referred to two fundamental things. One, you had pieces of land, big land, in Luo understanding of being rich. Number two, you had animals. It's not about money. I'm not referring to money. I'm referring to that old context. Because having many wives demanded that you must have land where they will kill to get food. Correct. So polygamy was not meant for poor people. And that's why even Yamanetero must be somebody who was capable of having that extended family. Today, fast forward in our time, we who are seated here, we who are discussing culture. Many of you, or me, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to marry because I'm a Catholic priest. But I engage with married people, both single and monogamous, in my day-to-day pastoral engagement and life. We like, okay, because that is our culture. Okay, and I wake up and say, I'm going to add 3 more wives because, you know, I'm a Luo, and a Luo must have polygamy. No. There are a lot of things you must go back into yourself. You call yourself into meeting. Why are you calling yourself into meeting? Because you are operating as a Luo from another contextual moment. So in brief, what I'm trying to say, my brothers and sisters, is that culture is good, is worth sharing. But let us also agree that culture is dynamic and alive. The dynamism and aliveness of it is what can make KP survive abroad. That's why it can survive abroad, because of the dynamism. But does it stop being an Luo? No, it doesn't. Because there are some things which are innate, which are so intimate that they don't change. Maybe the way he speaks, maybe the way he views some things, the food, the kind of food he eats in his house. He may not be a man of pizzas on Mondays, or if he does pizza, he does them like that's to make himself, but he wants to eat ugali. There are some of those things in his food. Maybe the way his bedroom is, maybe the way he receives guests. There are some things that remain because they are the heart of the culture, but also there are many other things that change, that move with the time. So for me, I would say cultural discussion is a very interesting topic. We need to preserve them. We need to share them, but either in form of a book for the future generation to know how the other generation lived. And in their time, if they compare their time and that time, what is constant and what has changed? That is cultural and information empowerment. What has changed and what remains constant? Number 2, by learning and living what can be lived in our time and letting go the things that don't serve. Because I do believe a culture that does not serve life is as good as a dead culture. Anything that does not support life in our time is as good as a dead culture. So allow me to rest my case there. I will not respond to issues of brainwashings and all those things, because for me, those ones are very subjective topics and all that. But that's, I think, what I can bring about in this culture. Thank you very much. I'm continuing listening.
Okay. Thank you so much. I believe there will be you have to answer, because we are very happy you're here to get the voice from the side. I personally have questions, but I think I will give a platform to the other guests to ask questions. Is there anyone who has a question for the priest in the house?
I think we need to give you a platform to ask him first, then me. I think I'll just pose one.
Okay. Opero Tino, I'm very happy that you're here, because most times I think we hold a platform where I don't believe in Christianity. I was, but that's a story for another day. And I grew up in Catholic, so I do well with the prayers. When my grandmother prays, I pray with her, because she's too old to have a change of mind. But what do you think now that we have Jesus Christ and Mary apparently represented in a fair skin, and we also believed we had a life before the missionaries came? That is, we had both cultural, social, spiritual life. What would you say about us living that which belongs to us and adopting that which was brought by the foreigners?
Okay, now, first of all, I think there are two things, there are things that we need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, of course, there is the time of colonization and evangelization as walking brother, I call them brother and sister kind of approach,
Mm-hmm.
which took place then.
Mm-hmm.
But then what that also showed us is that a human person is one who is able to learn and relearn. Okay. That's another characteristic that we had then. Because when the colonizers came, called to speak, I'm not a very good history person, but I want to pick it from that understanding that when the colonizers came, there was a bit of what I can call then cultural preservation and antagonism, whereby the insistence in there, where name Jaluo, our thing of Jaluos is that there was a kind of unseen boundary, cultural boundary surrounding kama ni Mujaluo too, and you are being discouraged from going to go and marry a non-person. And that happened in the Bible. If you can read, those who read the Bible, let me use the Bible, not a faith book, but maybe a book of history for those, for ease of accommodating the word Bible for some of you. Now, if you go to the Bible, you will realize one of the problems the people of Israel faced is that when they reached in a certain country after reaching the promised land, then they started adopting some things of other people. They started learning new things. And one of the best person who did that was the best guy who did that is King Solomon, who then married the women from other cultures. And because of that marriage, there was a mixture. Now, that is what our cultures were avoiding that time. If you start marrying with other girls from other culture, they will know our stories and they will know our things. And that's how, I don't know, so whether it happened true, the death of Isis Kolwanda Magere, these stories, it brings about intermarriage. So you get to realize that in those days, there was a kind of boundary. But then when colonizers came, it proved another thing in the human person, that a human person can learn new things and relearn. Now, every culture, and somebody, I think you are the one who said it, KP, that Christianity also grew up in a context, in a culture. Christianity is in a given culture. And so as a given culture, we have an understanding of this person, of this supreme being, which you can call God. Now, when they come to this Africa here, they also come and share these stories. The historians will disagree on whether it is voluntary sharing, where you allow me to take or not, whether it was a forced sharing. That we can have our discussions about. But the fact is, they came and shared. Some people, and a good number of people, embraced them. Whether for me, Jesus is painted blue, yellow, white, black, or whatever, for me, Paul, is the least thing. For me, that is the least thing. Whether God is painted as blue, yellow, green, because even if you ask us, our LUOs, that being you call in a sai or bongo or whatever term you want to use, how you want to baptize this is the least. But bottom line, there is the understanding that there is a supreme being who is so superior to me. Now, this supreme being, you can call it Were, Obongo, Moya. How you baptize it for me is the least. What is important is what is the concept behind? Now, that is the thing. So whether Jesus, Mary, and all this, it's a matter of the faith of the person. But I don't want to bring faith here because faith will demand what we call in philosophy a leap of faith, kind of a jump. A jump which some people call an abysm. Like you reach a certain valley and you're gonna go the other side, so you do a leap, a jump over there. Now, that I don't want to bring here because we may not end up agreeing like KP says. He no longer doesn't believe. It doesn't matter for me. As long as KP is a good man, loves people, is supportive, and is a gentleman, what else do you ask life? At the end of the day, it will not where were you praying, whether you were praying in Oporosatan, or you were Catholic, or you were, that is the least thing. At the end of it all, when all will be said and done, will be about how did you live with your brothers and sisters from the perspective of this supreme being that you think made you to be. For me, that is the whole thing. It doesn't matter whether you are Catholic, Adventist. That is our personal problem of living our faith here down on earth. I doubt if it is a concern of God. Whether somebody is a Legio Maria, is not a believer. Actually, those who consider themselves non-atheists have got very serious values of Christianity. The value of love, the value of unity, the value of being at peace with the environment, with the nature, with one another. Those are values. And that's what is important for me, KP. So I think that I don't want to enter into that soft line argument of white Jesus, should we make our Jesus black? So what if you make it black? Will it make Jesus much more appealing to blacks? I don't know. But if somebody finds it that way, so be it. So for me, that's how I bring it out in my understanding. And I'm not speaking authoritatively on behalf of the Catholic Church. I'm just bringing my theological and philosophical understanding as a person on these kind of issues.
Thank you. And being authoritative is okay. Okay.
Opera, you're a priest, you said, are you?
Oh yes.
Okay, so I'm bringing my son for baptism.
Okay.
And his name is Okelo Oloya. Would you accept that?
Oh yes, why not? If I accept Vida Ramirez Messi, why should I have a problem with Okelo Oloya?
Okay.
You know, let me bring you something here. I know where you are. I know the point you are bringing home.
Okay.
You remember, let me use now the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church as an institution, when they come to do evangelization, they carry with them a culture. Just like me, when I go to Europe, for the first time, I will carry some of the rules, and I believe KP is outside Uganda. When he went out for the very first time, he carried with him the worldview that he came with. But when he reached where he was, he found himself to be a minority, and when I mean minority, in relation to the bigger context. I'm not saying minority in the negativity sense, but he was a minority, number one. Number two, he realized that he don't have the coercive force with him. So what do? He goes back to the normal thing of a human being. The human person is there to survive. Then the instinct for survival, and when I mean survival, the instinct of wanting to live. So don't take survival here like suffering. No. The natural instinct of us wanting to coexist or to exist. So that means that KP or myself have been outside in other countries, so that's what I'm telling you. I have to either one, let go some of my worldview, some of my thinking, which I might maybe in that context valued so much, and embrace some of the things that are around me. Some I will not embrace, some. So this is the same thing at that time. When the church came those days, came with a white man's, when I mean white man, Western understanding of these black people, whom they also didn't understand so well. That one we take from the benefit of the hindsight. You know, but that's how we read it back. Now we are reading it from our context backwards. We will realize, and today we can say, they never covered enough information about these black people. Actually, it was like an adventure for some of them. They came to discover some of them, and that's why some of them were like, you mean these people can argue? These people are this sharp. You know, these people are this intelligent also. Kumbe, these people have got cultures. Kumbe, but these are things that it takes time to appreciate. Now, in the Catholic Church, that and even today, there is this understanding that the so-called saints, and the only thing they would understand that the people were baptizing was that the saints were those with those names of Alphonse, Magdalena, Mary, mostly biblical names that time. For a very long time, there was that insistence that when you are coming to baptize these people, you ought to give them the biblical names, the Christian names. But today, and with the development of theology, with the development and exposure and cross-cultural sharing, you come to discover, and anybody who is a priest would have agreed with me, that speaking today, the sacrament of baptism has got nothing to do with which name do you, the person, have. If you feel like calling your child chair, Mary, and spoons, or you know, if that's what you think, it's up to you. With us, we'll baptize because the sacrament, the efficacy of the sacrament, for us, the Catholics and Christians or Catholics, does not depend on what the name the child has. So there are people baptized today with Okelo Weno. So that's what I wanted to bring about.
Yeah, all right, but you know, I think you're contradicting yourself in a way because you say that, like, you know, perhaps me coming to, you know, Europe as a minority, I would abandon some of the world culture, but that was not what happened when Christianity came to Africa. It was more like they enforced at the time. It was non-negotiable, and I'm sure you will agree with that. That if you're going to baptize somebody, if you're going to baptize your child or your person, they would have to adopt the name from either the Bible or a European name. It's only been relaxed now. So how is it then that you're now saying that, you know, because of minority, being a minority, you drop what you know and then adopt what, you know, what your environment delivers to you? That is a contradiction, don't you think?
It's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction, Benja. Because if you understood from where I began presenting my thesis, I said one, and I used the example, myself, KP. I don't know whether you are abroad yourself. I don't know.
No. Just to clarify, I'm in Nairobi. Abroad is just to emphasize on different countries.
But anyway, some of us have traveled outside. Let me use that word. We have traveled, we have listed in countries of our culture. Correct. And I mean maybe even of African culture, okay? When you go somewhere like that, remember when the whites came, there was the coercive element. If you go somewhere and you have the coercive element, you can make people do what you want. And that's what we even do in our back at home. Even back in our very, very families, let me use that concept. Kama wewe ndio wa kusema kwenu, ukikohoa kila mtu anashika kohoa. I mean, it is the human nature because you have the coercive element and the others see you as strong. So for them to survive, the instinctive survival of man, say, okay, fine, let us accept what he wants, if that's what, you know, something like that's what I was referring to. But when I go out, say in Spain, I mean, I am me. I don't have, one, I am a minority in that context. I'm talking about today. Two, I don't have the coercive element. So how do I then, because I still needed to survive, I still needed to exist, how then do I behave? Now, when the white man came, we call them white man, when they came with the Christianity, first of all, they came with the coercive element. That's why evangelization and colonization became one thing. And then what did they do in the first place? They would not go to your grandmother direct. First of all, they ensured that they subdued the voice of control. The chiefs, the elders, they subdued them. Because once you subdue the chiefs and the elders, then by extension you will have subdued the tribe. So whatever you tell the chief and whatever chief will tell you, if will say, we have welcomed the Jasongo. And everybody will bow because that was the African. Once the elders spoken, the elders spoken. So they were very clever in that perspective. using the hints right. So that's what I meant by saying when they came with the coercive element, number two, they took control of what we call our coercive system, which was through the chief, which was almost like a monarch or whatever, the clan elders. Once they took hold of them, then they could convince them whatever they could do. When there were some places when the chief was baptized, everybody else, all the subjects, you did not need to say yes or no. So these are the context at that time. So you can't continue hanging on that time and justify this time. But that's what I try to the distinction of that. So I don't know whether I explain myself, but maybe Benja will understand what I'm trying to mean. So that's what I can respond to Benja's reaction.
Okay. Thank you so much. If you're joining for the first time, remember my name is KP Jalo, Abroad Luo Ambassador, East of Central Africa. I am a documentary filmmaker. I make documentaries for the Luo of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, DRC, Congo, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Cameroon. If you're watching me from YouTube, remember you can just text your question if you have any. Personally, I have questions for the guest, but I will give a platform for other people before I come back. Nyok, I think Nyok Liech. I think you have a question or you have an insight. Chuka, are you there?
Oh, wow. Yeah, JP, Afoy Matek, Benjamin, Opera, Afoy Matek, and
introduction in your dialect. Nyingi.
Yeah, Nyinga Geoffrey Oloya, Luo Uganda, Northern Uganda, and I'm really very excited to dive into this kind of conversation. Yeah, pure, original.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I just dive into this kind of conversations, and it's really very exciting. I think we should really concentrate on our best our Luo culture, worthy or not. Instead of going long range, I think we just have to kind of discuss a few things. And the most important thing, how best can we preserve it? Yes. Is it worthy? Yes, 100%. And regardless to where you are, what kind of religion you believe in, because I think being a Luo wasn't a choice to all of us. It was by default. You are a Luo. And you have no apology to anyone. You owe anyone no apology. But of course, let's quote it as the Western culture has done more harms to our culture, especially in Africa. Let's generalize Africa, because a lot of things are not on the right track. Before religion, there was life.
Correct.
And people were living. Everything was good. All those kind of services was also there, although not like the one of nowadays. But people were living, and people were solving their own problems in their own way, and in a cultural way, which is good. I do believe in culture. I believe in some few things that are done, because I grew up near my grandparents sometimes. It was maybe after the insurgency in northern Uganda. That's when they separated us from, we were taken to town. Our parents left in the village. But nevertheless, I used to, in that kind of period, they used to kind of take us through a lot of things in terms of cultural issues like dancing, some folk tales, some riddles, some, storytelling kind of stuff in a cultural way. Because, you know, there is a way sometime in a Luo kind of setting, they can teach you in proverbs, they can tell you certain things, and that's right now as you speak, that thing is not there. Why? Because they call it, you know, modernizations, you know, you step backward, ABCD. And at the end of the day, you find that our pride as Luo is fading off. Why? Because we are not practicing it. We are not preserving it. We are just letting it go like that. So to me, it is worth the keeping. I was trying to be very careful listening to Mr. Otieno. He's a very smart priest with his calculated words. But I must say, Christianity was not there before Luo. Luo was there before Christianity. That is to my own opinion, to my understanding. Because all these religions were just brought into us. Someone said we were forced to. Even like you say, high school, when you speak in vernacular speaking, I mean, if they get you speaking your own local language, they give you strokes. Yeah. You get the point. So that's meaning they are forcing you to do something that you don't like, out of your will. You get the point. So there, if we relate a lot of things into our culture, everything was forced. Because with my little language, I mean, with my little knowledge, I think I read somewhere that religion was imposed, especially because it was introduced mostly, especially way back to the slaves, because time came when these slaves, which they looted them from Africa, they took them to the Western to build their country, factory, work in their farms, and all this kind of stuff. They started turning out to be like, you know, wild. So, and they started killing their masters. So they said, we have to get a mechanism of calming these people down. That is bringing in, use a religion called Christianity to subdue them, and then to make you, like, you know, controlling them be easy. Yeah, if you can keep it brief. Them, they brainwash them, and they do what they want. So basically, I think what I can just say, it is worth it because it is worth it to keep the culture. Like apparently, me, I'm reading a book. It is in the local language, and I would love. I don't know whether you guys are going to see it, but yeah, it is in the local language. You can see LUO CULTURE. And so it is written. So all this, yes, it is written by Okidi George. So this is the book I'm reading. It's a cultural kind of stuff, mostly the kind of comprise of how actually that's their thing long time ago and all this kind of stuff. A lot of things. So I think we can preserve those things by writing books. What you're doing a great job by keeping all those documentary, because the young generation will need this kind of thing. I beg to stop here. Thank you. So, for your mistake. When we talk, please let's try to keep it brief so that we can have a chance for the people to interact. And if you need to speak, you remember you can just maybe raise your hand, or write it on the comment, then I'll bring you up. To the priest, questions. Number one is, so we know that Christianity was coerced, by your own words. So if you had that authoritarian nature, then other people had to fold to survive. So that means that Christianity was pushed down our throats. We didn't actually completely agree with it, but we had to survive. So we were coerced.
So then why do we continue to practice it when we now have free will? Number two, what happens when a foreign religion is against our own culture? We have our own culture, but the religion now tells us, listen, this polygamy that you're doing, it's wrong. It's one man, one woman. This ajoga that you go to, it's now wrong. Now you can't do it. So what prevails, the religion of the foreigner or the culture of the locals? Third question, you say that you don't care if someone is named Folk or Wino or Utensils or Ching, you will baptize them. And I'm not sure if you've watched my documentary called LUO Voice of West Nile, because when I did that documentary in West Nile, Uganda, I interviewed a priest, I interviewed the sheikh, both the church representatives and the mosque representatives. The sheikh said, according to their Quran, they should give their children good names. And these good names are the Abdallah, Hassan, Ibrahim, which are not Luo names, but because they are Muslims, technically they give Arabic names. And I also asked the church representative, I get a priest, but I got I think they're called liturgical, these ones. And they said, you have to be given a name that's correct. And these Christian names, for the longest time, I've seen Christian names to be equal to European names. And if you go to Congo, that name stops being an English name, it becomes a French or Belgian name. If you go to the Mozambique, it becomes Portuguese. So can we, now that we know, can we also, when we preach in church, can we, the catechist, can we tell the congregants that, listen, you're not compelled to have a European name as a Christian name. You can have Ochieng Otieno, and that's perfect, because it took evangelism to abandon our own names. It took evangelism. It took a campaign for us to know that for you to be baptized, for you to be clean, to be a good follower of Jesus, you have to bring in Christian name, quote unquote, which is European name. So can we use the same evangelism to tell them, listen, you are free to not use a European name. You're free to have Ochieng Otieno. My Christian name is Peter. I'm not proud of it. I introduce myself as Kogot. I'm not proud of it because I feel I'm not an Englishman. But I have to have a European name, which to me is similar to what Black Americans had. If you are a slave, you had to adopt your slave owner's name. And this name had to be passed down generations. And if you're okay with Black American history, you'll know that Malcolm changed his last name to an X, letter X, to remove that slave owner's name. So can we use that same evangelism in church to let our people know that we can use our Luo names and we are not compelled to have a European name to follow Jesus?
Okay, I will start with the last one because it is the immediate question in my head. Then you'll be going reminding me because your last, I was not writing, so I didn't have anywhere to write.
No problem. Mm-hmm.
The first thing, I go back to the naming, and the response remains the same to Benja. Mm-hmm. And I want also to give you a broad understanding of it in the sense that even if you ask another priest, say another Catholic priest, may not give you the same position as you. Why? Just like even amongst you culturists, if I can use if that word exists, you don't have the same school of thought if that's what exists in your language. I mean, you agree on some elements, but then the practicality of that element may be different. So you can go to some priest, they will tell you, no, in this parish, I give you said it's called Vina Fidel. Okay. Is called Vincent Vina Fidel. You will get priests like that. Then you will get others who say, you have called him Fidel. Okay, fine. If you do know the meaning of the name, because usually the names have got meanings. And that is cultural. That's an African thing. Names have got meaning behind them. And that's why they are always told, know how you name your children. What is it that, because in African context or an African culture, there is what we call the spirituality of naming. There is a spirit behind every name, kind of.
Correct.
And the Luo believe that if you name a child, so that's why there are some people, even though they are Luos, and if you give a birth to a child when they die, you cannot name them. Because so people say, if you name them, then somehow they will resurrect that child. That metaphysics up there. The same logic applied in Christianity. The understanding that because names carry spirituality in them, now they came and said, we will give you a Christian name, which by that time mostly were biblical names. But today, quite a number of priests have got no much problem with the name you give your child. They can tell you, are you comfortable with that name? Now, that's why you find parents naming names that are not even cultural, if you want to use cultural names. Then if you ask him, what is the meaning of that name? No, Nivile, I took 2 letters of the father and the last 2 letters of mine and we combined. Okay, now what do you mean? Because many of the people come to the church already with birth certificate in their hands. Now, birth certificates has got, because in the hospital, they don't have that argument of the meaning of, it's what you decide to call your child. If you decide to call him Sonny Alphonse, okay, Sonny Alphonse. Now, when you come to church already with such, we don't want to complicate more life because the theology has understood that the sacrament of baptism in the church, the efficacy, its effect does not depend on the name you give the child. However, we encourage parents to choose them, and we don't longer choose for them. I remember how this was being chosen for. Nowadays, we just encourage them, look, please choose names for your children, names that have got meaning. Meaning for who? To you, and what you want your child to be. So today, there is that openness in terms of names, but I will also not be surprised to some find priests who will be insisting, no, it must just, that is how diversity, and that's how different sometimes human beings are. So I think that's how I can answer you on that perspective of the question of the naming, but the key thing is names have got meanings in all the culture. That's why in even a Luo, I don't know if a Luo or a Chol, even among us, Joluo, Makorwa, Kenyaka, there are some names children are never named. And even in the village, they know there is this Jaduong who died, but he was a bad man. Anything the children are not named after him. Because of the meaning of a name. In terms of the spirituality of naming. That is very important. So I think that's what I can say. Today, you can, for me in the church, when they come to the sacristy, to the office, I want to baptize my child. What is the name? Are you comfortable? Is that what does I even ask, what is the meaning of that name? Father, mimi sijui hata, ni vile tu tulicombine majina yetu na tukaona ni sawa. That's what I will tell you. It is now not, do you want me now to tell them? No. You go back and call them Atieno Akoth. Father, hiyo jina ni ya wazee, wanakaa wazee kakitambo. So the same thing, I can't force. True. Those days they could force. Remember the element of, but there are things now you say, okay, fine. I can't force. You simply can't. So for me, it is the developing. As time go by, people become more informed, and you get to discover there are things that were correct then, or they were considered to be correct then, but today, no. And that's what I call dynamism and aliveness of cultures and times. So that is there. So that's what I can respond. Remind me the second question.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and just everyone watching, I hope you take a chance to let people know that you're free to choose. Christian name doesn't have to be European name, at least according to the priest, because it took years of evangelism to have this embedded in the brain. It has to take years of evangelism to take it out. But the second question was what happens when the foreign religion goes against our own culture, when the teachings and recommendations of a foreign religion is against the local culture? Which one prevails?
That which prevails is that which you believe in. Okay. That which you are convinced of. For example, if me, I believe I'm a believer, I'm a Luo, believer, a Christian, Catholic, priest. All those adjectives identifies who I am. So at some point, there are some things I will do as a Luo man. And there are things I will embrace and do and say and believe in as a Catholic priest. At some point, there are things. So it is the complex nature of who we are. It is the convictions that you hold to you. If you say, I'm no longer a believer, I don't believe in this Christianity, it is a white man's thing, it is a brainwashed thing, it is a blah, 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 you can mention all the things that you can describe them, then the way you'll understand some things will not be the same. And so trying to force each other to accept those things, for me, that is an exercise in futility. And what is important is believe what you want to believe, as long as what you believe makes you have quality of life and makes you live better with the rest of the human race. Period. Now, if it is from Christian values, embrace and draw your strength from Christian values. If it is from cultural Puritanism, we embrace and draw cultural Puritanism. But then be also ready to engage people who also maybe are traditionalists, and all these kind of things. But as I always say, at the end of the day, nobody is a Puritan in anything. Even those who say they are cultural purists. We are African, and Africa is our business. They are the people with the latest iPhone number 17. And they run for them in the market like the one is coming to an end. Why don't they go and look for horns and smokes? It's because some things that, there are some things that are not. So whatever you embrace, which one supersedes the other, it's what you give value to your life and what you consider important and what are your personal convictions and what are your values in life. Withdraw strength from wherever you want to believe them from. I cannot force you. No, in this case, if it is external foreign religion, forget the foreign and embrace the cultural one. And if it is the cultural, forget, no. Choose you what you want. Before you are two things, foreign and non-foreign. Choose you now what you want and what makes you happy. That's where we'll put it.
Before I ask the last question, would it be in order to ask you, because you said you were different camps, you're Luo on one end and of course a priest or a strong Christian on the other. Between the two things that we have in hand, if Christianity is talking bad about my own culture, this is not just about belief. Should I stick to one? Because we also have churches like Legio Maria, which to me is a war between Christianity and the Luo tradition. So if I believe in a yoga and I ask you as a priest, is a yoga good or bad? What would you say?
First of all, if you believe in a yoga in you see, that's why I was bringing, remember my first presentation, the complexity of the understanding of it, because that's one thing we have to agree on. If you were on a classroom setup, first of all, we'll have to agree on the understanding of the concept. Because that is very important for us to reach the conclusion. If our understanding of the word yoga differs, then our conclusion will always be different. So the first thing you have to agree that if you mean a yoga as these people who would tell you, oh, what they catch, mix this and don't mix that. Man, I get traditional herbs. I know what flower to go for. And I do it. We do it. I mean, there's nothing. That is medicine. That's medicine. But if a yoga here is the one that causes harm to others, that I want you I want to finish you, then I would say, bro, I don't share with you, but if you think it will solve your problem, choose you now. You know, the beauty of Catholic faith, if unlike me, I don't want to enter into other churches because that's not the topic. The beauty of a Catholic faith that it allows you to choose what your conscience tells you. So if you think a yoga can solve your problems, I've told you, for me, I don't see if it's going to solve your problems. But if you believe so dearly that it's going to solve your problems, proceed you now. Because then time will tell us whether it has solved your problem. So if Ajuoga is that negative element, I really don't share much into it. But if it is the treating of people, the healing, the balancing of what we call them, I don't know, balancing the spirits and the air and whatever, those are things that contribute to life. So it's okay. Mimi pia naendaga kwa wanipatie dawa ya tumbo, nimesikia tumbo kumbe unahara, pengine umesha kunywa amoxil ya imekataa, then no, hebu enda kwa mama nani, huwa anajuanga dawa ingine. Anaenda huko kwa mlima anatafuta luet kuacha, I don't know, whatever, anakumikisha na it has healed you. I mean, it has got nothing to do with my faith in God. It's purely a medicinal element in thing. For me, that has got, even the Catholic faith has got no problem with that.
Okay.
It's a medicinal element thing.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think that clarification helps, because I think the word Ajuoga has been judged unfairly in a blanket, is a blanket statement, while Ajuoga is different from Jajok. Jajok will kill, Jajok will hurt, Jajok will harm. Ajuoga is more of a healer and seer or something like this. I have visited Ajuoga, of course, when I'm doing the LUO documentaries, and if anyone wants to watch that, watch Allure Voices of West Nile, episode 2, if you go to KP Jalo Broad YouTube channel, and you'll see that Ajuoga Gogagi is nothing evil. They do exactly the same thing that the priest does, or a sheikh, but in a different way, because it's a different spirituality. So Ajuoga is judged unfairly, is not evil. Ajuoga is, you can watch for yourself. Anyway, the last question is, so we agree, by your own words, priest, and we really appreciate that you're here. You agree that Christianity was coerced on us, because you used the euphorism of, if you're authoritarian, then people have to bow for you. It's instinctively a way to survive. So we know so well that we had to force ourselves to accept this because we had to survive. So it was coerced on us. Now we don't have the coercion anymore. So why do we continue to practice that which we know was coerced on us? I'm not sure if you can answer that.
My response is a quick one. It's very straightforward. Because those who continue practicing are finding value in it. And I give you a very practical example. The first day you were taken to nursery school, you came back. You were crying how you wanted to remain at home and all that. After some time, and as time went by, now you can take yourself to school. You can go to Makerere, you can go to Nairobi University, all those things. Why do you do it now and you don't cry? Because as time went by, you have found value into it. In the beginning, you were being coerced. Sometimes your mother could cane you and say, go to school. It was a coercion because the mother used the coercive force. But now you even pay for it yourself. Why? Because as time go by and as you live your life, you have found value on what in the beginning you considered repulsive. That could be my response to those who still live Christianity. Others, as time go by, have not found value in it and have dropped it. It's still okay for them. Maybe because human beings don't live in vacuum, they embrace other things. They embrace other systems or other institutions or whatever they want to embrace, because now they find value and meaning in that. So in the beginning, Christianity was forced on us, yes, but we were also spiritual beings. Africans are religious by nature, we are spiritual by nature. So there are some things that could rhyme with our way of life. But there are some concepts that we never had. And these concepts were put in us via what others will call brainwashing, others will call it catechism, others will call it religious education, whatever you want to call it, you are free. What is important that they were brought to us in a way of formation. Others with the time found value in them and have embraced them and perpetuates them. Others don't find value in them. And that is the dynamism of life that we go on with. That's why at some point, UKP, you said, you know what, man? Kume have been cheated all this long to hell. And that is it. But now you are embracing other things. And I'm very sure I come to your house, you have some element of spirituality. Maybe you believe in something else. I don't know. But so you find value in that. So it's people embrace it because they find value in it. That is my response.
Thank you so much. Am I allowed to ask a personal question, Padri? Just one. Which value can you point out?
I don't see. I'm intelligent enough to know whether it is personal or I can respond. If not, I respond to you via DM.
Okay. So my question is, you as a person and as a priest, of course, could you mention maybe one or two values that you find in Christianity that we lacked in our African spirituality?
Well, I find there are many things that are common, but one of the things I think Christianity has brought to me, in my understanding, is the
Jackie,
fact
can you mute
are
Jackie?
we are all equal and the same despite our differences. So before you find in many of our culture, I think I said it before, the equality and the sameness or value of equity, whatever you can call them, were more of to my kinsmen and my cultural men. While the different people, we consider them either our enemies or our people who are terrible, and that's why we tried to avoid interconnectivity with them, intermarriages. But Christianity brings the element that, you know what, we are all equal. We are all the same. We have the same blood. That's why a black man can donate a blood for a white man and still the white man be healed. And the white man can donate a blood because there's something that is equal. So I think that's the value I find in Christianity, insisting on that equality of life. As to how we practice and live that is struggle of human nature, our human weaknesses and struggles. So I think that is something I value in terms of Christianity. Maybe it was expressed in our cultures, but in different ways. But I do believe our culture was slightly hostile to people who are not of our same culture. And if they came in, you can remember, I don't know, but Luma Kenya Koni will agree with me. If you were not a Luo, many of those people were coming in like shepherds, taking care of the home. The same concept, but practicing differently. Jamua, you know, those who we call Jamua, those who are Luos in Kenya, they know what I mean by Jamua. Jamua was a person whose work was to take care of cows and goats and bees, you know. The same thing, a white man took a black man and took them there as slaves. Because they don't belong. They're not part of the So Christianity comes and says, no, he's different from me, but he remains a brother. As to how we practice that, we can debate it on the human element. So I think that's what I can tell you for now.
Thank you, Opere Otieno, at personal level and at Christian level, as priest level. We really appreciate you joining. And I think we might want you to join more often. Is there anyone who has a question or a random concern before we call it a night?
Just probably a quick response. I mean, I appreciate you as a priest, but I think, of course, in your submission, you submitted as a priest, basically, versus culture. So I just, my observation of, how you were describing things, perhaps the first one being how we preserve our culture. You did say that, and this is just a comment, it's not a question, because I know that, a question will sort of like evolve into
another
discussion. This is just, So, as an observation, of course, preserving our culture, like I mentioned, building like cultural centers, which can be a museum. What is a museum? I mean, that is a white man's term. If you want to, ask me, but in a cultural center, it's a center where you put all the cultures together. Now, and when we talk about culture, there are core items of culture. There are practices that we must follow if you want that culture to be defined. And there are practices that you may follow, such as maybe polygamy. That is not like, it's not a must. Not every man must marry more than one. No, that is not, but it is acceptable, based on your own situation. Like you mentioned, yes, if you're a rich person and you've got a big land and you can look after more than one more, because that was, the society was very, very clear on that. That, what is the point of having more than one woman if you can't look after them? So you must be wealthy. So those are preference. I call them luxurious cultural values, but not the core values. The core values are, of course, when you talk about marital ceremonies, you talk about naming ceremonies, and these are things we don't deviate from. Originally, names were given according to either the time of day or the season, or what, the person that you follow, and so on and so forth. That you cannot change. And these are the things that are core in our culture. And also, when you look at marriages, for instance, what do we how do we conduct our marital ceremonies? How do we name our children? The naming ceremony. When you are naming a child, what do you do? What, if they are twins, what kind of ceremonial cultural activities do you do? So those are things that you cannot change. They are not dynamic. You talk about being dynamic. I don't know what that means. Yeah, but these are things that you cannot change, and that is what defines a culture for me. It's not about just picking and choosing which one you're going to take and which one you're going to drop. No, that's not culture. And look, the Europeans, all when you come to Europe, I've been in Europe, for more than 30 years, right? Every European clan or tribe or whatever you want to call it, they have their own culture. Even within the UK itself, you've got the Welsh who have their own culture. You've got the Scottish people, with their culture. They will never abandon that, and it is acceptable. You've got the English, with their own culture. So, and that is what defines them, and that also filtrates into their names, like, if you look at someone like Jones or Williams, he probably is from Wales. So these cultures, but we are, as Africans, very acceptable, because yes, somebody came and then maybe twisted our arms and said, now you must accept our ways of life. This is Christianity. Yeah. Because and you just to summarize, because I don't want to take a lot of time, you talked about Christianity and then you talked about education. You see, theology and the wider section of education are two different. When you learn about, maybe let's say you're doing carpentry, you see the result right there, and that is the value you get out of it. Because if you want to become a carpenter, you know that you can create a bench, you can create a table, you can do a door, and that. But in Christianity, you are taught things that you probably will never see. Nobody has ever seen Jesus. Nobody will ever see Jesus. Nobody has, some of these things are just referred to because they were written in a book that was written outside the scope of Africa. See, so that is just my observation. Thank you. But nonetheless, of course, I enjoyed your submission as a priest.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if the priest want to say something before we have Mero Mot has something to say.
No. it was not a question, it was a comment. So comments, you don't comment on a comment.
Okay. Derijot, Meromot. By the Meromot is Meromot. You have to introduce yourself in your Luo dialect. Your name, which Luo you are, and where you are.
Yeah, una mother, nyanga Meromot, ana Luo mar Ethiopia, Luo Nywa.
There.
Yeah, I hope everybody can understand because nyanga, every Luo used to
Everyone
say nyanga.
understands. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, well, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for organizing, this wonderful topic tonight. And I've been listening for the last 2 or 3 hours, and then I was actually in the middle of doing something first, and then I said, "Oh, I gotta go and join this," because it's really important because it is our culture. We the Luo. Is the culture is worth it? Yes, of course. I don't think there is anybody who said no. So I went through the comments. No. Everything. I hope everybody is just saying yes. And I just want to thank also our priest, Opero Tino, and all the audience and everybody actually who commented, because from my perspective, I just want to dive into my comments or what my thoughts upon this on this topic. Culture is a general term, and there's no any single definition that we can put like this is the meaning or true meaning of culture. Even there, those who study sociology or study culture or study several things concerning the culture and how cultures could be, they don't have any single definition for that. But we, the Luo, we are very rich in culture. Our ritual culture and the part of our identity is much more deeper than how we could express it. And we are over 10 million Luo across East Africa and Central Africa, and we are very rich in our culture. For sure, the culture is the soul of our community. What makes us unique and different from other group of people is the culture that we have, the culture that we preserve. And the culture itself starts from the naming. And I realized that we just need to come back to original names of the Luo. I am a Christian, but still I do believe in other, because I'm a Luo, and Christianity wasn't there before Luo. So the first thing was Luo, me being a Luo first, and then the Christianity come afterward. And I remember my family, they wasn't a Christian before they become a Christians. There was a moment when I was 5 years old, and I remember that I was 6 and I had a severe flu, and I couldn't get any healing from the nearby clinic or hospital. And then we've been taken to a yoga. In Anua, we call it a jua, and they provide some herbs. And I was healed afterward. I was fine, and nothing bad happened to me. So from us, in our perspective from the Anua, Luo of Ethiopia, we believe Ajua or Ajua is a healer and is a diviner. Could be a male or female, it doesn't matter. But they provide a significant contribution to the community. But when Christianity arrived, most of the part completely they abandoned Ajua. And nobody's just thinking about them, and they have been considered as evil. And if you just trying to follow them, doing their things, going to them, you could be regarded as somebody against the Bible, somebody doing something really evil. But the way I view it, that's not I don't think that's true. There are things that we just need to preserve as part of us. And what I appreciate about my community, I'm not just saying that there are some other thing in other community. we don't have many names like Peter, like John. Most of them we have like Omod. That's why when you see the LUO of Ethiopia, you find a lot of Omod, Julo, Obang. And,
Omod.
There's a friend of mine I just met, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, Mer. And he said, "That is a pagan name. What's your Christian name?" You just said you are a Christian. I said, "God accepted me with my name. Mary is a Christian name. It doesn't matter. It is in Ainu language, and that language has been created by God, and God was the one who has given the language to us. Therefore, it is God's language as well." So what you mean by saying that is a pagan name? And he said, no, you should be named like Peter, like Andrew, Thomas, and all the Western name. I said, no, that's not my culture. Yes, I know the Bible, I can read, but me being called as Mayor, as not a Peter or Johnson or something else, it doesn't mean that I'm pagan. I still believe. And then I tried to convince, I said, do you know the meaning of Mayor? And he said, no. I said, it's mean love. As if love is not a biblical word, or is not God's word. God wants people to live together and love one another. So for you calling Mayor as a pagan name, that's so wrong. Which is the way we think of ourselves. So coming to the naming or branding, it is worth it that we just need to keep our identities. Now for us, twins, they're Opio and Uchan. And we have Ukelos. We still preserve all these names because what identify as a Nua or as part of the LUO is the culture and the naming and the preserving of this language that God has given us, the LUO language itself. So that is one of the things that even at the church now, we stop giving names of like Peter, like John. Our priests, they talked with themselves and said, no, those are European names, and we can name it with our own language.
Oh, very good.
Is that same God that has given the language? So why are we naming our kids with the biblical names? Why not Otieno? Why not Omod? Why not Okelo? Why not Opio? So we are giving these names now. It doesn't matter now. You don't find this most of the Christian names now in our community. Why? Because we talked about this thing. So I believe we just need to create a lot more of these discussions so that we will have a little bit of understanding on how we can preserve and how beautiful is our culture itself. If you believe you are a LUO and you believe your culture is beautiful, then why are you abandoning it? We just need to talk about it. We just like there's another thing, Chijuok, or calling a god Juok. There is a LUO friend of mine from another LUO. I don't want to call his name for other reason. He just said that there was a moment when they said if you call God as Juok using LUO term, that's the evil God. And there's another way of calling God, which is another term that has been borrowed from other community. And the way that we are calling our God as Juok is the evil one. And I say, no, we don't. We use Juok. And that is true God. We have two God that we believe. Juok Nyangalabuo, which is God the creator, or God who keep the people alive, who give health. And Juok Nyudungo, which is the God the killer. Before Christianity, we have these things. If somebody been killed or somebody died or something bad happened, that's the evil God that did that one. If something good happened, it's the good God that has done that. We still got those gods. So therefore, calling God as Juok is not something bad. Regarding the marriages, even in the Bible itself, we read the 12 tribes of Israel. They've been born by 4 mothers. Israel himself, he got 2 wives. He's a polygamist. I'm not just saying that Bible didn't. There are a couples of verses that say that you should marry 1 wife, right? But our traditions, what our tradition say. Our tradition didn't force anybody, like in Dainua, Ethiopia or South Sudan. Polygamy is allowed. You can marry more than 2 wives, but there's nothing that say that it is a must that you should marry 2 or 3 or 4 wives. It depends on your economy or your capability or what you have. There are some people, elders, who have money, who have resources, and they still got 1 wife. And there are some people who have capability to have more than 2 wives and they managed it. So it depends on the person's choice. But it's not something that we can enforce on people by saying that because of this religion, because of this, you should marry 1 wife. And when you marry 1 wife and have a lots of concubines, have a lots of ladies that unseen back there that you put behind the curtain to be set as somebody who is holy. That's not the issue. Because we believe if you have 2 wives, you got 2 wives. And you were talking with somebody's daughter, you got to make sure that you're marrying them. That is our culture. So I believe there is a lots of good things in our culture. And since there is not enough time for today, I hope you can find some other time so that we can go much more deeper on how we can look into our cultural heritage and how we can just talk about it, create more awareness on how people could have a positive perception to beautiful Luo culture, as it is one of the things that is worth it for all of us, that we just need to follow and we just need to remain as Luo. Thank you.
Inapoa. Is there anyone else with a comment before we call it a night? Kinara or Mama?
This is my humble request, huh?
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's just a positive suggestion.
Okay.
Is the fire burning? I'd really love to see this thing grow big and big and big beyond borders. Thank you so much for coming up with a positive discussion that can really make people like me or any other person who is along the lineage of Luos have a decent or a proper way of reasoning like a Luo and appreciating being a Luo. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be. I've listened to so many people, and I thank the priest too. I'm so glad that he never. He's sorry, priest. Abiro Kisumu, Kenya. I'm traveling to Kisumu. Kisumu karateng but chulaimbo. Wanjo game nyolo chulaimbo ka.
Kona kayona ni sawa tu.
Kayona but ka opusi, owor pusi.
Sawa.
Yes. Amano and be blessed, everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mama. Maybe, Mama too, maybe it's your first time, but this has already grown beyond borders. That's why we have Luo of Ethiopia here, Luo of Uganda. We usually have Luo of DRC, of South Sudan as well, or Tanzania. So it has grown. I do make documentaries. I also do have Luo cultural tours. So you can send me a message if you'd like to join, because Luo cultural tours show I pick Luo from Kenya and I take them to visit another Luo. But in the future, I will go pick maybe a Choli and bring them to the Luo of Kenya and also go to Ethiopia. And if you're Luo, if you meet your brother, give them the best brotherly love you can, because this is what I get when I go to the 6 countries with the Luo people. Alice Chogo, you seem to be having something.
Yeah. So, Adwaro mana appreciate. Priest erokamano sana, iluonga ni Atis, not Alice.
Okay. Okay.
Atis and Chogo. Anyway, I work Kenya. Piny mar Seme, Kit Mikai. Adwa goyone priest erokamano maduong sana. And KP Jaluo for this wonderful session. It has always made me to be home, away from home. Aonge sani dala, Lakini when I'm here, I feel so good. The Luo Wachirema Ber, and I'm learning different kinds of Luo. I've been to Gulu. I've been to Gulu in Uganda. I love Uganda. That is why the flag here is. My mom stayed in Uganda for a very long time, and I was born in Uganda. Lakini Anja Luo Makenya.
Ber.
So I'm happy anyway. Koro, erokamano maduong for this platform. And everyone else. Wapuoyo matek.
Yes, everyone, please be my ambassador around. Help me share this TikTok page. And also, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and also share that other subscribers can come in. I think someone had something to say before we call the night. Kinara?
Yes, I'm here for married. Downwing my heart kind. Ngay ne pola downwing niya mo moru. I'm for you to 12.
Nyingi?
I'm here for the 12 topic my category. I'm not bad guru mo ye. Then a better luku madung daughter chaba chida miarnel. So ngayo most of one end in the way. Pole me being at a peramon young lab like leba chole. Carol luo leb luo at a peramon young maybe guapara. There's a lamaraman mapping end in it. So I'm going to pull one young. I'm at a food to a KP. Mighty and again my bear and that kind of near Malachian could be medical topic any. He will try about why you get more. No, pick up better town. I gam more. Erodon near the mobile bar of football topic. Mauka catch out around for the bear for a matter.
Apoyo matek ber. Unyang leba choli? Do everyone understand the actually? Because maybe I'm unfair that I understood and Benjamin, you can translate for them.
Yes.
You can translate for them.
I understood it.
Okay.
I translate. Yeah, quickly. I mean, he just said, thank you so much. He's been following our topic, and he's so happy that you put it up. This is actually a guy from my village, so I know him very well. So I'm happy that he's been able to join. So he said that although this time, much as he had something to say, but he's kind of tired, so he's going to sleep. But next time, if you put up the topic again, might be inclined to say something. And he just wished everybody good night.
Okay. Erokamano. I'm not sure if Kinara, you had something. You will be the last to speak tonight.
Okay, thank you for the privilege. I'm also in Ramogi. KP analala go comment section kone, but itimo gimaber kabisa. Apoyo gimitemo at least you engage these sisters and brothers. They should know their culture. Mana gimaber kabisa. In fact, anabiro ga kai lora ga lora, but berna piny koni gimitimo ni ema berna ma dhi puonjo jothurwa gima onego bed ni watimo. Yeah, koro continue the same spirit. We will join. If there is a WhatsApp group you have formed, maybe we'll send our number, so we'll be there. If you cross the border, I will be welcoming you home. Anja Kenya ka.
Ber.
My baby, when you go into Juogi, we will discuss Juogi. Yeah, because we had got somebody in Luo called Gor. There's somebody called Gor Maya. I will tell you more about Gor Maya. So if you visit Kenya, please.
Aja Luo Kenya.
Oh, mano ber. Inge Gor Maya maber.
Ange maber.
Mano krokwara, mano juogi.
Ber. Benja. Iniang doluo.
Maber.
Ber. So I think we call it a night now. My name is KP Jaluo Broad Luo Ambassador, Eastern Central Africa. Remember, my main responsibility is to create Luo documentaries. So if you can go to KP Jaluo Broad YouTube channel, subscribe, and share with your friends. That would be very helpful for other people who would like to contribute resourcefully. I have a GoFundMe link. Just go to GoFundMe and write Luo documentaries, and you'll see my picture there with the care of the Luo of Tanzania. So I think we call it a night for now. Make sure you help me to share those things. We'll be ending this live in the next 3 seconds. Achel, Ario, Adek. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Okay. To the people watching from Facebook and YouTube, I just ended the TikTok live. And thank you so much for joining tonight. Remember to help me share this YouTube channel so that other people can get to know of it. You are my only ambassador. You know, I'm Luo ambassador in Central Africa, but I'm one person, so I need your help to help me share the YouTube channel. If you wanted to contribute monetarily, I have a GoFundMe. Go to GoFund, just write GoFundMe on Google, and then inside GoFundMe search Luo documentaries, and you'll see my picture there. I sat with a care or worth of the Luo of Tanzania. So up to this point, I would say thank you so much. I end this live, and I will try to see your comments and answer. Thank you so much, and bye-bye. I will end the live for YouTube first, for Facebook first. So bye-bye, Facebook. And now I'm left with YouTube. I'm very glad that you're here. If you doubt yoga, go watch Allure Voices of West Nile, episode 2. Or watch the Padola Kingdom, because that's where I went to the shrine. Let me know if you have questions, and those who wanted to join the conversation. I usually have conversation on TikTok, so go write the same name, KP Jalobrod, on TikTok, and then you can always join my conversation. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you another day. Bye-bye. I will end this in the next 3 seconds. Achel.